It's honestly a pretty common theme among many undefeated fighters where once they get their first loss, it affects them so much to the point where they eventually kind of lose it. And the best and most recent example of this is with the former heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. At the height of his career, Anthony Joshua was a two-time unified WBO, IBF, and WBA heavyweight champion of the world, and he was building himself into becoming one of the biggest names in boxing. He's been named one of the most marketable athletes in the world, and at the time, he had all the credentials to show for it. With his height, physique, looks, boxing skills, and the most important thing is that he always kept saying this one quote, which is,
"Stay hungry, stay humble. I'm hungry, I'm humble in defeat, and I'm going to remain humble in victory."
So, how did Anthony Joshua go from someone that's always humble in defeat to someone that had an embarrassing meltdown after losing his fight against Alexander Usyk? During Anthony Joshua's prime, he had an incredible record of 22 wins and 0 losses, and with most of those wins coming by knockout, it helped build his brand and set him up to be boxing's next best thing. But it wasn't until his first fight against Andy Ruiz Jr. where everything kind of just went downhill for him after. I think most people already know what the outcome of that fight was, but in short, Andy Ruiz Jr. shocked a lot of people by managing to give Anthony Joshua his first loss by TKOing him in the 7th round. And from that moment on, it just seemed like he lost all the aggression he had that helped him become a star after getting beaten so badly by Ruiz. Although he did manage to come back and get a unanimous decision win against Ruiz Jr. in the rematch, and get a classic early knockout win against Kubrat Pulev, Anthony Joshua's reignited hype train ended up getting derailed again when he fought the absolute monster in Alexander Usyk in 2021. And although Anthony Joshua was a favorite going into the fight, it ended up going the way a lot of fans expected it to go, with Alexander Usyk dominating and outboxing Joshua for the full 12 rounds and winning the fight by unanimous decision. And during the post-fight press conference, Anthony Joshua seemed to crash by saying, "Fuck being humble, I'm done with fucking losing," which is only the beginning of his meltdowns after losing to Usyk. And in the rematch, Joshua honestly seemed to be doing a bit better than he did in the first fight, but Usyk still ended up pushing the pace and controlling the majority of the fight and beating him by split decision. And that's when Anthony Joshua did one of the most shocking things I've seen in the sport by crashing out and having a complete meltdown by arguing with everyone around him, then taking the mic and started to rant about how hard he worked to get there, and he basically just made the entire thing about himself by showing horrible sportsmanship. And while again he came back and won 4 fights in a row, one of which being against Francis Ngannou earlier this year, he would eventually face another loss in the same fashion of both Andy Ruiz Jr. and Alexander Usyk by getting outboxed and knocked out by Daniel Dubois, where after that fight, Joshua's career was basically at a crossroads due to him not having the same aggression as he did when he was undefeated.
But his career decline just goes to show how much can change to a fighter that's been undefeated for years after they get their first loss. And let's just hope that he's able to bounce back one more time before he eventually hands up the gloves once and for all.